Father, we pray not only for our leaders here, but we pray for our leaders in our nation. We ask you, Lord, just to guide and direct the President, the Vice President, Lord, and all the members in the federal system. And Father, we thank you. And Lord, we ask you to bless these people, bless our troops, especially those in harm's way. And Father, we give you the praise and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Be careful. Magistrates and folks in the audience, with the weather being like it is, let me ask our Director of Marshal Services, Mike Phillips. Do you have an update on weather situation?
Mark said we should be all right today and should move out pretty quick and cold weather won't hurt me today until about 10, 11 o'clock tonight.
So we have until 10 or 11 before we adjourn this meeting, right?
I wouldn't push it.
Thanks, Mike. Magistrates, on our agenda, we see number 4, presentation and approval of bills. Those are in your packet, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Ms. Gordon, may call the roll.
Ms. Ashcraft? Yes. Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Norman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Ms. Sharp?
Bill Pickers, the treasurer's office, are dated for February the 28th of 2013.
Motion approved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? And Ms. Gordon, may call the roll.
Ms. Ashcraft? Yes. Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Norman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have the KTW public hearing information. Mr. Jim Bruno of the Louisville Water Company will provide an overview, and then Rudy Hawkins is going to provide a recommendation to this report. Good evening, Jim.
Hello. I wanted to give you a brief overview of the merger agreement between the Kentucky Turnpike Water District and the Louisville Water Company. That occurred in September of 2000. In February of 2012, I came before this group with a merger agreement amendment. And in that amendment, we rolled out all the improvements that we had made in the previous 10-plus years as part of the Bullitt County Water Improvement Program to bring water to unserved areas of Bullitt County. And I have my map behind me here. The red lines on the map are the routes that receive water as part of the Bullitt County Water Improvement Program, as well as the black lines on there, and the green are still in progress of being constructed. But to summarize, the program was greatly successful. We brought that to fiscal court, and they agreed that we had completed that. One of the things that we outlined in the merger amendment last February was that we would work together to dissolve the Kentucky Turnpike Water District. When we merged, the Louisville Water Company assumed all the assets, all the liabilities, and all the customers of the Kentucky Turnpike Water District. So it remains out there as a shell organization, and I guess what I handed out in some handouts to fiscal court members, first is a map showing the boundaries of the Kentucky Turnpike Water District, which KT number 1 is the pink area, roughly north of the Salt River. The blue area is KT number 2, which is south of the Salt River, and those are the areas that were included in the merger agreement. The other thing I included was just a quick summary of the improvements that we made as part of the Bullitt County Extension Program, which involved $55 million investment, lots of statistics of the things that were installed and the water that we brought to one survey to Boyd County. And then lastly, the item I presented was House Bill number 1, that's in the legislature right now, about some reform and some requirements for special taxing districts, which like water district is a taxing district, a special district that would be subject to any regulations, but those regulations for financial, housekeeping, audits, as well as education commissioners of those special districts. So we expect that to come in more quickly in the future, since that organization really, like water district really has no purpose. We feel like that's something we have to resolve. So, I guess the next step of that is that fiscal court help appoint commissioners, the PNC, those commissioners. Those commissioners met earlier tonight and made a motion. We're going to have one of them come up, that I sort of outlined the process a little bit, is that the next step is after they make their recommendation to fiscal court, it's for fiscal court then to convene a public hearing to discuss that issue, and then fiscal court will have to vote to decide whether they want to make a recommendation to the PSC to dissolve the Jefferson Water District, and then the PSC then will rule on that, and if they agree, then it will be dissolved at that point. So those are the kind of brief outline of the steps ahead of us. I think at this point, I'm going to invite Rudy Hawkins up. Rudy's going to speak on behalf of the commissioners of the Kentucky Water District that met earlier tonight.
We met, we decided to dissolve what was commanded.
So now it's appropriate for us to take action.
I think the next thing would be is for fiscal court to
Set a public hearing.
have a public hearing, but they have to advertise that in accordance with regulations, and also know what the purpose of that public hearing is to discuss dissolving.
What do we suggest? Any suggestions to the public hearing?
Is it a private session or
Excuse me, if you want to do it before a meeting or after a meeting, let's say do a meeting today. Probably, we don't do it on the same day.
March the 19th, magistrate is our next report. So does it suit everyone to schedule the public hearing for March the 19th at 9:30 in the morning?
do we get none?
I'm sorry. Yes,
I
please.
think we already had a public hearing that morning for the landwater, the land water grant, yes. I mean, I don't know that you can't do it, have it at 8, but I was going to let you know that we already have one scheduled.
8:30? I suggest 8:30.
8:30.
That's too early.
It's been actually out like this.
Wait, Debbie, shall we do one more time as well?
We have that time to do that, and it's
8:30 a.m., public hearing, March 19th.
And Lisa, just remember, you know the purpose of the meeting.
And the purpose of the meeting for clarity is?
To discuss dissolving the Kentucky Water District number 1 and 2.
Are we all clear on that?
Does that then go to the PSC, is that what you said?
Then it would be up to fiscal court then to vote of whether they want to recommend to PSC after the conclusion of the public hearing, the fiscal court to vote whether they want to make a recommendation to PSC to resolve. Okay.
Anything else?
That does it.
Thank you very much, Jim Brown and Jim Randall. Out of our little water company, giving us all the water in this county. Thank you so much.
Did you have a question, sir?
That's A, yeah.
At that meeting, it's not recommended contracts to be together.
I'll let Jim and Jim answer that.
from my perspective, it doesn't have any assets, it doesn't have any liabilities, it has no customers, although there probably are some requirements for that organization to continue. And I think that would come up to fiscal court to maintain that organization, and that might mean training of the commissioners and whatever regulations there are for auditing of that, reporting of that, and education of the commissioners themselves. So it is small cost of continuing to keep that organization alive.
Is the waterfront became part of that now?
Yeah, it's been going on for years. This is just the last, maybe like 5 years, I think it's like.
If it stayed in the waterfront, it's still part of that.
I don't think so. Really, the organization hasn't, it hasn't been active, essentially. We left it there because we wanted to honor the commitments we made in the merger agreement. I think we've done that over the last 10 years, as all the projects we presented and the agenda that we presented to the fiscal court. And so now it's kind of time to tidy that up and get these resources. So that's remained to be changed.
Thank you, Jim. Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. I failed to get the minutes approved, so magistrate's number 5. If there are no changes that need to be made to our minutes, I'll suggest we approve as written.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as they are.
Second.
Thank you, magistrates. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? And the clerk may call the roll.
Ms. Ashbaugh? Yes. Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have County Attorney Monica Meredith Robinson. She's going to present to us her budget.
Judge, give me just a second, get this back, and turn it back. Thank you. I'm just going to keep this name now. Well, I think I'm gonna, my back's kind of leaning you all. I'll be the first in the budget presentations to go. First, I wanted to thank everybody for coming. We got a lot of members here from the public that asked to come, and I appreciate it. And the fire districts in Mount Washington and Nichols, the sanitation district, police chiefs, and thank you all so much for coming. This thing ain't come up here, and then we can go. What happened last year is we made a budget presentation, and as most of you all know, the county attorney's office did not get fully funded, okay? And in retrospect, looking back, I'm trying to keep what happened from happening again, because it looked like, in my opinion, in my office's opinion, and I think Kevin may agree, that it came down as some kind of showdown between me and Kevin, and that really my people didn't deserve that, and I don't think neither did the employees of the county clerk's office. So last year in July, when the new budget went into effect, I laid off 2 part-time lawyers, 1 lawyer with a voluntary pay reduction, and then we made 2 full-time spots, reduced the part-time because I couldn't afford to pay the benefits on those. And that's fine if that's what our money situation is, but I just need everybody in the public to really understand we're kind of where the rubber meets the road. Law enforcement knows that. We deal with everybody that comes in if there's an emergency crisis, something tragic's happened to them. If our budget, what I'm asking, hoping to walk away from fiscal court, my proposal has been to give us what you gave us last year. And I can keep everybody working. I can't keep us open all the time. Law enforcement will tell you, we shut down regularly now because I don't have anybody taking complaints. But my people have a job. And I think that they would at least be all in that much respect to say, you'll still have a job July 1st instead of everybody in my office looking for employment at this time. If not, everybody needs to understand, because of public safety issues, if we get lowered, and you'll see when we get to it, I have nowhere to cut off. I have 5 courts that we cover at any given time. This is our current budget for fiscal court. We receive 31% of what my office operates from, comes from fiscal court contribution. So we have to have it to make it, okay? And this is what I gave the magistrate, that we're requesting to stay the same, but I am also going to ask the court this year if they will pay the workers' comp and unemployment insurance for my office. That is paid for the offices of the county clerk and the sheriff. And I'm using both of those because neither one of those are departments of county government. People say that to me all the time, well, you're a county government department. No, I'm not. I'm an elected official. And I get money from separate spots to run my group, well, social county clerk and the sheriff. But I'm asking for us to be put under that same CAFO umbrella and not have to pay that out of my tax money. What I was letting the court know, and you'll find out as we come, is if this is not a request for money, but I'm just telling you about public safety. I am shutting down at certain times. I don't have people to take criminal complaints or to help law enforcement during regular business hours. They're having to come back, okay? If you want to make sure someone is there in case we need a warrant on the spot, I can convert a part-time law clerk to a full-time lawyer at $35,000 a year, for that lawyer would require an additional $39,632 because that's what it costs with employer match on retirement and health insurance on top of what's in my budget right now. And I've just laid that out there so they would know that that's an option. This gets small, and I'm going to break it down because this gets to where what I was talking about, our budget versus other county departments and other elected officials' budgets, why it's not fair to do across the board analysis. I use us, the county clerk, and the road. In my budget, I have 3 lawyers that are paid $55,000 for my highest paid attorney, highest paid employees. And as you go down, you'll see most of my people is part-time, because we can't afford benefits. But my salary comes to $568,671, and that includes my office. This is the county clerk. This is why we're not comparing apples to oranges. And I wrote at the bottom, non-fee office, fiscal court provides 31% because of the grade, and that's the money I get from the state. And then I estimated about $183,000 that we make on tax revenue that goes to offset our costs. So that's where the $265,37 fiscal court comes from. Okay, this is the county clerk's budget, okay, more or less. His salaries before retirement and insurance is $911,000, okay? But that's paid for out of the fees we pay when we go pay our taxes at Kevin's office. He's allowed by statute to recover that. I'm not a fee office, so that's kind of the difference, and I don't think everybody really got that last year, because it kind of come down just a comparison of me versus him. But that's not fair to either one of our offices because I can't charge people. And here's the road department. A road department, I just picked them at random because they were close to about the same number of employees, okay? And I used what was on their budget. Their $762,000 is their salaries before cost of benefits. But at the bottom, you know, that is an exclusively county department. So they, unlike me and Kevin, they're another kind of animal here. They get all the funding from fiscal court. Where I get 31, Kevin gets his out of fees, and the road department gets them all from here. This is what's happened since I've been county attorney. Tell you a little bit about why the cost has gone up. One is KERS retirement rates. This is what your employer pays to match every wage that we pay. When I started, which was the 2011 part, we were 16.98. July 1st, it will be 26.79. I cannot overcome that hurdle, okay? That's not the health insurance cost, it was just the easiest retirement. And I just gave you, for example, if you looked at a payroll in 2011 that was $265,000, then my employer match was $45,000 and change. The payroll, the same amount today, increased by $26,000 by doing nothing but state government saying that they're going to increase the retirement rate. And that's a big part of the problem. Another part I learned this year, because I keep learning stuff every time I go to these county attorney seminars, I wasn't grandfathered in. The prior county attorney, if you were here before certain laws were passed, you didn't have to provide health insurance, you didn't have to provide retirement, or it was locked in at a lower rate. I'm not grandfathered into anything, so I have to pay the full amount that we're on. Lots of people say, what does the county attorney's office do? And I don't want to bore y'all here, but we like do everything in the kitchen. We prosecute all traffic and misdemeanor charges. We do all felonies at probable cause stage. We handle all juvenile offenses, whether that's a child that has been beaten or whether that's a child that has beat someone. We handle extraditions, and there are a lot of those. We oversee mental inquest and disability cases. A lot of people don't realize that. We recover real property tax on the county. We serve as counsel for fiscal courts, county districts, commissions, all county officials. We initiate lawsuits on behalf of the county, such as the smoke ban case that we initiated. We defend claims made against the county or elected officials in their capacity. We collect code checks through a program of local business merchants. We collect delinquent child support payments to parents on a contract with the state. We also represent the Mount Washington Fire Protection District, the Nichols Fire Protection District, and the Bullock County Sanitation District. And we're glad to do that. This is the first time that the county attorney's office in the history of Bullock County has been asked to do that. Okay, delinquent tax revenue. This is so small that I don't know how to get it on there. What is important to look at, it keeps going down, and I really can't figure out why, and I've met with Kevin on it and the PDA, because we have the same tax person, and it looks like we have more bills. But if you look like at the summer sale is where we make the most of our money. In 2010, that was $101,000. The next year, I think it went up to $116,000. That was before I got here. But then on my watch, we were at $110,000, and then this time we went to $84,000. And it was actually in the 60s, because part of that was from extra tax bills that Kevin had sold this year, 200 some odd from an additional year, or we wouldn't have been up that much. And with my budget, I have to make $183,000 period just to pay payroll. And then we also pay insurance and everything else right now on top of that. Okay. We also work out as a benefit to the public, and part of my contract with the state is if people fall behind on their taxes and they contact us and they ask to do payment agreements, by statute, we do that. We do them in-house. In 2010, the county had 76 of those, and 69% were success rates. Since I've been here, we went up to 122, so we've increased by 62%, and we're collecting at a higher rate, a higher success rate than we have in the past. This is to give you a little bit of an idea when I say we have courts to run. This is the amount just for 2011 and 2012 of traffic, misdemeanor, felony, disability, and juvenile cases in this report here. We average between 8,000 to 9,000 cases depending on the year. And I think I was told by one of the judges that this difference right here may have just been because I think the state police cut out some overtime they were paying for speeding tickets, so I think that's the compensating. All right, just an idea for anybody that wanted to know. Out of those cases, here's how many are DUIs. I think that's ridiculous. And most people here realize that my office is focused hard on DUI prosecution and trying to make sure we're working with the police on winning these cases. But you're talking about 650 a year. Okay. This, I just kind of want to give you an idea of where we've made money for the county, okay? This chart at the bottom of this, this is what's called HIP revenue. HIP is home incarceration, okay? The jail hooks people up for home incarceration when they're monitored. But to get to the home incarceration, my office had to recommend that they do a home incarceration program. This is before I got here, and at the bottom, the total for 2010, the county made clear $34,976. The first, this chart here is half of that from January down is me, and we raised that up to 41 in the first 6 months. Last year, fiscal year, we doubled it, okay? Because I figured out we made money, okay? So we started offering somebody, double the time. If we want you to serve 30 days, why is the county paying to house you when I can have you do 60 days HIP and you pay us? That's what we started to do, and that's how we doubled the money to $79,000 revenue for the county. And then this is the numbers, we don't have February yet, but this is the numbers so far this fiscal year, and we're on line to be at a higher number than we even were last year, which is the goal. Okay. Another thing my office talked about, and I've talked with actually Captain Dan Patchett and Myrtle French at the sheriff's office that helped me, Dan at Shepherdsville, has helped me significantly on this. We quit subpoenaing people when I came to court, law enforcement, on every time we had to go to court. And we made it to only hearings or trials. That doesn't mean much to anybody else, okay? But as far as court flow, we started picking things up. Mike's like, you're not costing me as much money because I don't have to have people sit over at the courthouse for 3 or 4 hours to do nothing. Well, I knew it saved money, but we just couldn't figure out how much, and the city's been trying to help me. Well, Dan figured out, let's see how many subpoenas were served to law enforcement, and that's where Myrtle came in. The 2 years prior to my regime, that we averaged about 11,659 subpoenas to law enforcement that the sheriff sent out, okay? The 2 years I've been here, we've averaged 8,600. Okay, what does that mean? It's roughly $50 a subpoena. I think that's conservative. The sheriff thinks probably closer to 60. So that's a savings for the county and the cities. We've saved $150,000 plus a year. So that's $300,000 just by making that one change in the courthouse. It has not slowed down our cases. They're moving along fine. And I have to thank the chiefs for that because they all supported when we did that. Because we took a lot of flack at the beginning, but I think now everybody's realizing how much money it's on. Okay. Just also when our office started representing the special districts and asked, just to kind of give you an idea how much taxpayers' dollars that's saving for the citizens. Mount Washington from 2007 to October of 2011 paid a little over $46,000 in attorney's fees. They've paid no attorney's fees to our office. And the Nichols Fire District, they were getting their bills together. They told me it was somewhere between 7 and 10. Saw one with 8,500, but that is big to that district, okay, that works on a budget about 160,000. The sanitation district, we took over that representation. I actually had the bills that were paid to private legal counsel since the sanitation district was set up, and that's with a total of almost $163,000. That's for a district that continually comes in here and asks fiscal court to increase fees because they can't meet their daily burden just to keep the utilities up. And anything we can do to help the taxpayers, we have done and saved that. I also have to tell you, my people go over and beyond this job. Most of them are on call, at least the attorneys, they rotate. We do community events. Last year, my office had an idea, Shelley, had an idea to do a fundraiser for CASA. We raised $2,000 for CASA by hosting one mini golf scramble, and we did it at Park Country, and it was done on the fly. We're going to do another one in the fall. We had a great time, and it's meant to help a good organization. We do Kids Fest every year. I also do the Zone Fire District, never missed one. Halloween party, the Mount Washington, the Shepherdsville, Boy Scout University. The 3 years I've been here, we have taught the law badge class. Josh Bolus is here. He just taught that last weekend or weekend before. I did it the first year. We've done it all 3 years. And these are the folks that really helped us put together this presentation. I'm sorry I had my copy out most of the time. But if we could walk away, I mean, I know the budget seems far off, but the judge has to submit her copy to the state by May 1st, so it's really not that far off. And the one thing I would just like to ask of the court is if you could just tell my people that we will at least have what we started with so they aren't out looking for jobs, because that's exactly what happened last year, and it's not very fair. And they're here. Some of them I think would actually like to say some more, because that's why they wanted to come to the night meeting, because they can't come here today. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. With that said, if someone would like to make a comment about county attorney's presentation, you're welcome to. Yes, Mr. Walton.
Just on my 5930, I have a motion for that, and I had spoken to them earlier. There's so many innovative things made in the office. And she really is trying to do the taxpayer a service, trying to do cost at the same time. So that she needs to do. Representing special districts, she's taking on more work You're not getting paid for it. It's about time for us to recognize that we're not paying out-of-county lawyers or somebody's relative to work for a special district. For that, she needs to be applauded. She's saving the taxpayer thousands and thousands of dollars. I would ask you, don't impede her progress, encourage it. The taxpayer is really coming out ahead. She really thought some of these things through. I am impressed with her dedication to her office and her total dedication to the PTA. Monica, thank you.
Thank you.
Shelley Lemon Valley, did I do that right, Shelley Lemon Valley?
I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk with you all tonight. This is actually my first fiscal court meeting, so if I don't do this correctly, you'll just have to forgive me. My name is Shelley Albee. I live here in Bullitt County. I've lived here since 2006. My husband is from here. He grew up in the north end in Brooks, actually close to the same place where Ms. Robinson grew up. I do serve with the pleasure of Ms. Robinson. She is my boss, and I do that proudly. I will say that reasonable minds can disagree about how this county should be run. But it appears to me, and I'm sorry, I was raised in a small town in Breathitt County, and it's just in eastern Kentucky, and I have no other way about me other than to call a spade a spade. So I tend to be very blunt, and I apologize for that in a way, because what seems to have happened here last year is not reasonable. Because I have not seen the number of cases that we actually handle at my office. I am one of the prosecutors there, and I handle all of the juvenile court. So I think it was like paragraph 3, that's all me, all the time. Which the number was over 1,000 cases that one person handled last year, and then the district court criminal prosecutors handled over 2,000 cases, because there's only one assigned to each one of our district court rooms. And we still were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish last year. If our budget is cut and we do not at least receive what we received last year, our services will have to be cut for this community. And in my mind, what happens when that will occur is that our children will not be as safe. And so if you're willing to do that, to make our children not as safe, I have an idea that there will be a time where you'll be held accountable for that. We collect child support for children in this county. We aggressively pursue child abuse. But one thing that Monica did not mention, or Ms. Robinson did not mention in her presentation, was our relationship with the schools in this county. We do not look at juvenile court as kiddie court. Our juvenile court is one of the backbones of our office. It is my life's work and my passion. Since we have been in office, Bullitt County Schools have the highest attendance rate they have ever had. I have to believe that has something to do with what we have been doing in most people do not realize, perhaps in this county, that it is a crime if you do not send your child to school. We have charged numerous parents for not sending their children to school, because to deny a child their education is to cripple them for the rest of their life. It also should not hurt to be a child. That is one of our mottos in our office. And we aggressively prosecute parents who abuse their children. One of the other things that we have made it imperative that we do is that we prosecute juveniles who refuse to go to school. Because they may not be able to see it now, but their education is what is most important to the success of their futures. I hope that you will see it as important as we do as well, and at least give us the money that we need to operate in order to effectively represent our children's interests in this county. Because in my book, our children are not worth less than other counties. Other counties are funded, other county attorney's offices in this state are funded more fully than ours is. When we go to our different county attorneys' conferences and tell them what our budget is, people are flabbergasted. Cannot believe that we operate on that. If there are people that are trying to get rid of us, if you think that not giving us the money will break us and will make it so that we don't protect our children, I'm not quite sure you know what you're dealing with. Because no matter how much our budget is cut, although our services will be cut, we're going to be here. And we're going to serve the children of this community. I will tell you that I want to also ask you the question if you're willing to risk your family's safety. DUI drivers that you saw by the number of cases that we prosecute in this county is astounding. I'm actually very surprised, given our rural roads in our county, that we do not have more DUI-related homicides than what we do. What I used to do at the Jefferson County Commonwealth Attorney's Office is supervise a team of prosecutors who prosecuted people who killed people because they were impaired by drugs or alcohol, DUI homicides and DUI assaults. I'm very thankful that we don't have more of that. But if you cut our services, a lot of the services that we give to the public, like taking complaints or investigating charges and things of that nature, will fall to our law enforcement, who I know are already overworked. What that may mean is that one officer who aggressively pursues DUI drivers may be taken off the road. Are you willing to allow that DUI driver to cross the center line and harm your family? If you are, then cut our budget. My magistrate is Mr. Bradshaw. I live in Lebanon Junction. I'm a very proud citizen of Lebanon Junction. We absolutely love it where we live. My husband grew up in Brooks, Wisconsin, which is where your constituency is my understanding. Mr. Bradshaw, you may not remember this, but you helped fix my road. When I first came to the county attorney's office, I got with Jimmy Stivers from the road department and told him that there was a huge hole in my road. You came out to my property and looked at my property, and my road got fixed. And I appreciate that. And that is something I had tried to complete under the prior magistrate that was in your seat, and I did not have that problem addressed. And I hope that you, as my magistrate, will know that the money I make at the county attorney's office will never compensate me for the time that I spend. But what does compensate me is the time that I get to spend protecting this county's children. And I hope that you will look at this budget and know that we are not asking for more than what we are entitled to. We are asking for only what we need, ladies and gentlemen of the whole court, to operate our budget and to provide the services for this county that this county deserves and may have never received before, like the representation of the sanitation district and the different fire departments. We're more than willing to go above and beyond, but we have to have some help. And I hope that you all will see what we have tried to do for this county. It's not political for us, the services that we can provide. We believe this county deserves those services. I hope that you all will see that and at least give us the budget that we had last year. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? Yes, Ace, if you don't mind, can you keep it for 3 minutes? Because of the weather.
My name's Ace Hill. I live over in Mount Washington, and I want to talk about the things that was on the wall. I want to talk about people from my office and everything else. But you've seen a lot of things on that wall that has helped this community. And I want to thank the police department for some of that stuff. They had cut back on some of their important costly things in that order to help. That is why this thing is working better than it has in the past, because everybody understands what's going on in this country today, the economy. Without the economy doing something, holding back and getting things lined up, we're not going to make it. But what the parties are doing, working together, we can make it. And if you're going to get the people working together and start doing what they need to do together, and we're going to cut those budgets, that's going to cut us back. And I think that, I don't know the 4 magistrates up here, that out of all these agencies starting to work together, going through this office, I'm hoping that the 4 of you can also work together with this office and with the other agencies, because they are all pulling like hell to get things done in this community. And we all live out there, we will need to be in it. So I appreciate everything you've done, and I can speak for Monica. Their job is not a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday job. I see Monica come to our meetings 7 o'clock at night, be there at 10, 11 o'clock, whatever it takes. And then other meetings, They just don't come in and work that time. The fire departments, the police departments and everything, we have the best, and we think that we're training the best. And we get them trained and totally trained and everything. Everybody's gonna be wanting to borrow our people, or our people, because that's when they start paying more money to get people to come their way. We have the best, and the only way to keep the best is to keep that money in there where we can work with it. Because we can't work if we're gonna start cutting that money out. And we know that all of our taxes went up this year. There should be enough money to fund this budget for this, and then I hope that everybody can get together and put the votes in and get this done. Thank you for everything you all been doing.
Anyone else? Yeah, Chuck, come on up, Chuck. Thanks for keeping it at 3 minutes, Ace. I appreciate that.
I'll keep it shorter than he did.
I'll time it.
Okay. My name's Chuck Allen, and I was appointed as one of the new commissioners of the Fort County Sanitation District. And in this appointment, one of the first things that we was charged with was to try to cut costs. And we had set up a whole new attorney, whole new legal fees and everything. And the county attorney stepped up, and it was very refreshing to have an elected official come to a meeting and say, this is what we can do for you. And when we say we can do for you, it's the taxpayers out here, the sanitation district, it's all of us out here that benefit from these elected officials that will step up and tell you what they can do and will do for you. And I would appreciate if the court here would recognize that situation and give the county attorney's department the monies that they need to continue the work that they do in the county. That's all it is.
Thanks, Chuck. Anyone else want to speak? I don't see anyone. Kelly, you trying to get anything else you want to say?
No, I didn't think everybody.
I
I just want, it, just
Yeah,
one thing,
people wanna
I'm
hear.
sorry, no, I don't need to come up. I just want to ask you, how can you look at her today after all of this and have denied that raise? That's what I want to say. After all you saw on the wall, maybe we should have done this first and then talked about a raise, because I can't understand how she does what she does on the money she's budgeted with, and this is with no raise or no incentive from last year, 2 years in a row with no raise, and I just wonder how you can look at her today and not give her a raise.
Vivian, just a second. Tammy, would you like to have an answer?
If they had one, I don't really know that anybody has one. I want to think that in your minds, you thought you were doing a justice for our money, and you were watching our money. I like to think that you're hoping that you're good stewards of our money, but you have to spend money to make money, and you have to spend money to have things we need in this community, and that's where our problems are now. We won't spend the money where it's needed.
I completely agree with you on that. That's
Yeah.
situation I've been in for some time, unfortunately. Thank you, Tammy. So you, okay. Magistrates, do you want to respond to the president of the Chamber of Commerce? Miss Vivian, Miss Van.
I have learned in my short life that faith is a muscle. If you don't work that muscle, you plain don't have faith. We haven't heard a campaign speech tonight. We have seen the evidence of this group at work. And I think the exercise that we need to put forth is not only our faith and belief in what they can do, but also the support that follows to give them not what they're worth by any stretch of the imagination, but to give them what they need to carry on, to do the job, to continue putting money back into the community as they're doing. as well as servicing the needs of the registered world.
Thank you, Vivian. Anyone else? And Shelley did a fabulous job, just because I said to the next few folks to cut it down to 3 minutes due to the weather, I'm thinking, let's try to keep our comments to the point, but, you heard it, and, I think it's up to you, the people, to persuade the 3 magistrates on this court to keep the money that I put in the budget to the county attorney, that my office will submit to this court, Deputy Judge Winston, soon. So once that my budget is submitted to this body here, the 4 magistrates and myself, of course, I'm not gonna change the budget that I present to this court, that would be goofy. I think it's gonna be up to you, the people, to make sure that money stays in that line item for our county attorney, Monica Robinson. And in my opinion, in the last 2 years, since Monica has been elected, there has been more transparency and integrity in this county than I've seen in my 38 years of life in this county. So let's keep up the transparency, let's keep up the integrity that we have going, and please advocate to your magistrate to fund the county attorney and other items that continue to be cut from the budget that I present. And I want to thank Magistrate Ruthie Ashfall for seeing how important it is to fund the county attorney and other people that we desperately need in this county to raise the bar. We're a great folk here. We're the best people in the world, I think. But unfortunately, like it is with the state government and the federal government, we have some folks on this board that refuse to raise the bar in this county, refuse to fund certain line items in the budget that need to be funded, and it's hurting you, the people, in my opinion. Thanks all for being here. Anything else? Yes, A.
Thank all the board of
You're welcome. Magistrates, y'all want to say anything?
I know we're here to do as good a job as we can in saving the county money. But however, I also think one of our jobs is to make sure all of our departments get the money in their budget to be able to do the jobs that they're to do. I think we are not a bank, so we don't have to build up money because we're not going to be lending it to them. So I think that just as long as we remember that to use the money wisely and make sure that all the children in Bullock County are going to be taken care of by the county attorney's office. It can only be done so if she gets the money to be able to keep her office open and have the amount of people that she needs to run with.
Anyone else? Shelley, you want anything else? She did an excellent superb job.
No, thank you, I appreciate it.
No, anyone else? Thank you all so much for being here. All right. Magistrates, I want to move letter B to make a letter C. I want to go ahead and introduce our new Economic Development Director. His name is John Snyder. He is from the great state of West Virginia, just a little east from us. That borders us, doesn't it?
Yes.
And we are delighted to have him here to help our county raise the bar and of Humboldt County. John Snyder.
I really appreciate the opportunity. When I came over here a few weeks ago, it was the first time I'd ever been in Fulton County. I was surprised at what a great area it was, and how beautiful it was, and what the opportunity was here. I'm not be here except for the opportunity because I see so much capability of responsible growth. And I talked last week a little bit, you'll remember, I think economic development to a certain degree goes with the idea that we all like to see a growth in income of the individual. We also like to see our grandkids and kids go to nurse, which means if your child graduates with VOTEC, you want to make sure they have a job with VOTEC. If they're a doctor, you want to make sure there's a hospital that they can work. Sometimes economic development does not mean more than you think about it. It means a lot more to us as parents and as adults than what normal. And it's a great privilege to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
We are very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Next, Kevin Burns with the State Road Department. He has a cleanup program to present to us tonight. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening. That means everybody can go first. also know this program. You know, I just go out here and I did in next school. I would, take this and I'll set it out. And this program, they're not forever, I was found out about high school. You know, so now, so they look at it together and they have three homes here, so they know what. Getting all this opportunity to connect with the program. Citizens like see where they next up there working with something. And I'm really into the fact that we do this program. What you can, how do you do that? But we also consider this on the voice.
Yeah, what do you think on this right, as magistrates? Do you want to look over this and then revisit it on March 19th, fiscal meeting? So we'll put it on the next fiscal agenda.
Yeah, I need to know what y'all want to go on, what we go on, like months or two.
You know, I'm always at the house. No matter your work, you walk, that training, you know, make them more productive citizens. You know, so if I don't think about this program, and every single day they make mistakes. It's going to make their own mistakes enough. No, but you're going to use facts. You know, we want to do that.
So these are not classified in the state as far as who goes or not, you'll see that in the minutes.
So when you reimburse, all I need to do is get that back page. You've got what guards you want, go out there, and go for the house, get all of it, pay for it. And that's money to keep pocket, more than the poverty guard, to go all the way. So you got on road, it's so long, right? It's not just sometimes. So it's used probably. If you talk about the way about what it does, we've done this guy secretary, we got to do your conference. You know, if you want to hear, we're going to do workshops, that's what we do your office. You know, but it's pretty money out of it, and I think my money from this program a little more. Really, yeah.
Yeah, any other questions? Thank you, Kevin. We're on the March 19th fiscal agenda. Thank you so much for being here. Be careful going on. All right. Is there anyone here from Overlook Drive? Is Connie Carey here? Okay, let's move on to the departmental report from Wayne Hammond, Director of Planning and Zoning. Let's address the Darker New Freedom Funding. Let's get a vote on that, whether we want to do it or not. And then you can do the first reading of the zoning request.
I did receive an answer back from the lady at Park, and basically those funds were for transportation-related uses only. We couldn't use those for upgrading the buildings.
Transportation to cleaners and doctors and
Things like that to make buses more accessible for handicap. Say if you had something like where you took people to doctors and stuff, you could have applied for the funding yourself to help you run your business, maybe get a new van or whatever. That's basically what those things.
So fiscal court shouldn't apply for the grants?
No, because we didn't have any buses or anything like that. We couldn't apply for the grants to upgrade our building, and that's what I was,
But we applied for this money several years ago, and we were awarded the funding.
For the bus stop.
Yes.
But, I know before there wasn't any, I don't know if it was a liability, I'm not sure why we didn't do the bus stops. The last time we were, got the money.
With this, when you're saying transportation, could it incur the Meals on Wheels? I mean, could you,
Well,
I know they
they
need
would have to apply for the funding.
themselves.
Yes.
We couldn't apply and work in them.
No, it would have to be the agency themselves that would apply for it.
I think we should have someone that's capable of finding a use for it, because we wouldn't be provided the opportunity to get it if we wouldn't be provided the opportunity if we weren't allowed to have it.
How much is it?
I don't have the paperwork with me tonight, but, it was, to be divided up among Oakland, Jefferson, Spencer, the different counties, I think it was like,
And Bullock's one of them.
yes, $300-some thousand, I believe that.
Is this part of the MPO? Is part of the MPO?
RPC, it was the, for, basically, the funding from what, the answer that they gave me was for, anything to do with transportation.
Management, you can vote have what you want, yes or no. As the director is recommending, it's not for transportation purposes, it's for. As
The eight.
I suggest we take a vote, yes or no. On whether or not to apply for joint or decrease funding.
Yes.
Again, I suggest the fiscal court vote yes or no for this funding. Projects, just, I suggest this court vote yes or no on accepting the funding, applying for this funding or not.
Did you not just say, since we have no buses, we could not apply for this? Is that what you said?
Basically, any organization like what you said, Meals on Wheels, or something like that, they could apply for a new bus. They could apply for funding to help keep their business going. They could apply for different things for the handicap that would be associated with their business. The county, we could probably have tried for more bus shelters, but I know in the past that was denied, and I don't know the reason why it was denied.
Roanne, the fiscal court, the former fiscal court did not want to utilize the money that was awarded to Bullock County for bus shelters or anything. That was the former fiscal court. Again, we're losing money, people. we're getting this money in here, but the former fiscal court said, no, we don't want that money. But it's your money, it's your tax dollars. Is there not a need in this county for some type of transportation project?
I think what we need to do
I think about these all the time.
is contact Mary Wilson at the senior center. And can she apply for that grant?
Yes.
Well, I think that's what we probably need to do rather than us to get the money in when we really don't know any place to put it. I think it would be well used
And I don't know
for them as far as meals and bills and.
The main project that I was hoping that we could get this money for would be to update our buildings that are outdated and don't have, that aren't handicap accessible, and for the curb cuts, things like that. But basically, the answer that they gave me was that, and I think I emailed Lisa a copy of that answer. And we just,
Throw in Bob's got a question. Yes, Bob?
Yeah, it comes to my mind that on this meeting here tonight, everybody's short of money and everybody's trying to save a program. And all this applying for buses and the grants and stuff would help senior citizens and all the handicapped and everything. Why would it hurt to vote for ask for funding? It's not coming out of the tax money, it's coming out of federal and state government. I don't see the problem in this.
Well, we have, in order to, but in order to apply for this grant, we have to have a place for it to go and for them to know that we're gonna use it for transportation somewhere.
I know where it can go to the multi-purpose community action program, which does, that delivers
But you all
meals.
are the ones
be the ones to apply
to
for it.
apply for the grant.
But why couldn't fiscal court and multi-purpose work together in securing this grant?
That's what I don't understand why the problem. All you gotta do is apply for funding, you might get it, you might not, but at least you tried.
Well,
The worst that can happen is they tell you no, what's the deal?
take the vote.
I make a motion that the Director of Planning and Zoning apply for this grant money. She will research what project needs to be completed in this county or what project needs to even get started in this county, as big as this county is. And if it's a city project, then this fiscal court needs to work with that city in getting something accomplished. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it, I just don't know.
Get an application. We have
And-
it by Thursday, so we have to.
See, she's going to be about her.
Well, let's have a vote. And we have a motion and a second.
Would you read the motion, please?
Spit out there pretty quick. Make motion for Director of Planning and Zoning to research for projects.
To apply for the JARC or New Freedom funding. Yeah, that's it. For the Director of Planning and Zoning to apply for the JARC/New Freedom funding, period. To benefit this community, whether it be the county or a city. We all pay taxes, do we not?
But she's going to have some information, or it will be rejected, correct? But it has to be turned in Thursday.
But this is not the first time we've addressed it.
No, I'm just saying though, that it's kind of leaving her in a situation, but anyway.
Hold on.
Thank you, Ruthie. We have a motion and a second. Thank you very much, Ruthie, for seconding that motion. And any other questions or discussion? And before we make it all wrong.
Ms. Ashbrook?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Bradshaw?
Yes.
And Ms. Roberts?
The rest of Hammond, go for it. Okay.
First thing I do my presentation is, I just want everybody to know that our first meeting for the update for the comprehensive plan is going to be March 21st at 7 p.m. in this room, and the public is invited, and I've sent several invitations to all of our legislative bodies, and hopefully we'll get a good group of people that are willing to come and have this kind of conference.
Why don't you say March the 21st?
March 21st,
And what time?
7 o'clock.
And where?
It'll be right here in Fiscal Courtroom.
Okay, thank you.
This is a visioning, it will help people understand why we need a comprehensive plan and what the comprehensive plan will help to do for Bullitt County in the future. All right, my first case is 2013 Z-05, Theodore A. Biles and Carlene M. Biles, to rezone from agricultural to B1 highway business, location 4877 Highway 44 East in the unincorporated area. The Planning Commission heard this case on February 2013. They made a motion to send favorable recommendation to the fiscal court. It stated that the existing zoning classification given to this property was inappropriate, and the requested zoning classification is more appropriate because of the following. This property is not large enough to remain agricultural and B1 zoning would fit the use of this property. This business has been on the property for 30 years and is operating as a retail greenhouse and nursery. We had one person that spoke in opposition, and their concerns was about the use of Meadowlark Lane to access the business. This was a private road, not a county maintained road. The residents are responsible for maintaining it, and it will only be costly to them.
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance changing the zoning from agriculture to B1 highway business. The property in question is 4 acres, more or less, located at 4877 Highway 44 East in an unincorporated area of the county. Be ordained by the fiscal court of the county of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. In summary, number 1 sets forth that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2013 Z-05, is hereby changed from agriculture to B1 highway business. Given the first reading at the regular meeting of the Bullitt Fiscal Court on the 5th day of March 2013, and be given a second reading on the 19th day of March 2013.
Thank you, County Attorney. Can I take opposition and support?
You're going to make testimony again, yeah.
Is anyone here to speak in favor of this planning and zoning request? Mr. Wallen and Mr. Bowles, come on up
Good
here.
evening, everyone. Well, we have Ms. Hammond, and talk to the county attorney. This is 2 tracts off the same parcel. You may want to have a reading as to both ordinances. One is to use on agriculture to be one, and on the same tract, agriculture to residential R1. And you may hear the same comment as to both applications, what may be for economy, particularly tonight, that you may want to consider for the testimony of both zoning map amendment application.
What's the desire for?
I want to reach out to Shepherdsville or anything other than we just take this.
Thank you.
An ordinance changing the zoning from agriculture to R1 residential. The property in question is 1 acre more or less, located at 4877 Highway 44 East in an unincorporated area of the county. Being ordained by the fiscal court of the county of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. In summary, number 1 sets forth the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission in docket number 2013 Z-06, is hereby changed from agriculture to R1 residential. Given the first reading at the regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 5th day of March 2013, and given a second reading at the regular meeting on the 19th day of March 2013.
And for this issue, we also have Mr. Wallen and Mr. Bowles to speak in support of this request. Yes, you may. Good evening again, Joel, and good evening, Mr. Bowles.
You swear our property shall be residential.
Please, please, well, you don't have to. Will you please state your name and address?
Good evening, thank you. I'm Joseph J. Watman. I'm the elder, the younger is in the back.
And the younger's name is?
Joseph Scott. I'm Joseph Ross. This Bowles is here. This is a 5-acre parcel. It's located on the south side of Highway 44. It's on the east side of Meadowlark. This has been an established business of residents have been there for time immemorial. I refer to it as a Post property. Mr. Bowles bought the property very short after Mr. Post's death. There was another party involved. He opened up a nursery. He's been operating for 30 years. It does have a joint use. Mr. Bowles is getting elderly. I don't want to talk about his plans, but from my thinking, it's very obvious that he's going to allow his son to run the business, and we wish to give the residence to another child. I don't think he intends to work there forever. He enjoys it. He enjoys the people. I think the testimony we adopted, the testimony before the planning commission. We've been there 30 years. To me, it's a local landmark. For those people who have not been to see Ms. Wishy when she presents her gardening tips and her flyers and how to file a spade properly, educational on how to garden. That happens about 3 or 4 times a year. His Santa Claus presentation is packed. It's packed every year. He has a wonderful business. He's been a tremendous asset to this community. You can ask questions, but we intend to continue the business as it has been. It's a family-owned business. I just happen to have a fellow who's almost as old as me with me tonight, and I can tell you that it is a non-conforming use. I do not believe that Mr. Bowles wishes to continue forever to run this business. He will tell you that he does have family members working with him. I comfortably believe that they're going to continue the business just the way it has been forever. It's not going to change. The house is going to be used as a residence. It's not going to change. It's going to house. Attached garage is going to continue. We're not talking about changing the use. The use has been there for 30 years. What we are talking about is that we're getting older, and we may wish to provide property to children. We may want to provide the uses, but the effect is the uses that you see there today will continue. You may ask questions. There were comments about the road. As I understand the comments about the road, the individuals are holding my client's application is not because of the use. They're really looking for relief primarily from the fiscal court about the road Meadowlark, which was explained by the planning commission. The standing was there, but I was comfortable telling you that the commission advised the individuals that the road did not meet the county specifications. More likely than not, the fiscal court would not basically disregard the arguments concerning the road. I don't believe, as it was testified about the opponents, that it's a private road. I do not believe that. I think it is a non-county but public road. If there is a cemetery on this property, obviously the cemetery is open. You can visit that, but there is damage to the road in the back primarily. If you look at it between now and the 19th, I think you feel comfortable. It's going to be the garbage truck. One commission member advise the people, don't complain about the garbage men, go to make the garbage truck or the door. But the direct of it is, it's an existing business, it's been a successful business, it's been a tremendous asset to this community, we just want to continue.
Any questions from the board?
Yes. I would advise him if he could possibly take the road that goes through his house and get that fixed to where these trucks that are delivering your merchandise and where they're going out with the your equipment and taking that merchandise off that truck, and good taking to your property there. If maybe you could fix another road or your road to be able to let those trucks come in that road rather than the one going to the subdivision.
Yes, we can do that.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, but it's hard to stop them when they pull in there.
Well, there would just have to be signs put up, and I don't think that would be a problem for the people that's living out there.
If you put off the garden door, people come in that side, so we have a main in.
Right. Well, mess. I just really think if you would use that road that goes to your house, if you could get that fixed where those trucks could get in there and unload their and then that would leave this subdivision. Of course, they'll have to find some kind of road committee or something to fix it because it can't go in the county system. It's not up to date.
There's not much traffic, truck traffic is not like it is right now. I think that's, I'm miscommunicating on things like that. Most of the truck traffic in this area is going to be usually regarding. Not all of it, it's very, very minimal. And that's because they make a lot of those long term. So the entrance is for the door. That's the way it's made.
I still really think it would probably, and this is just my opinion.
I agree.
I think that those people living back in there would be more inclined. If they don't want your business going or nothing, they're glad that it's there and all that. So they don't want to do nothing like that. But they would like to have the trucks and things not come on that road.
I'd like to say, any truck going to my business has nothing to do with that road being on about 60 foot or 100 foot from 40 foot. All that road damage in the back has been there for years, and it wasn't good for my customers or my trucks. That road was not put in right when it was built. And the bottom is still out on the, the bottom. So that's fine, I'll do everything, just try to stop it and get on with it.
I just want to ask you.
Two big potholes right there in front of mine. That's a great problem.
I just want to ask you what your thoughts are about fixing maybe another road that's going to come in.
Trying to get them to come in. Once you get that truck in there, then we gotta go out and probably look at it back and out. We don't put it like in there either.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. Oh, county attorney. I need your votes. We have Mr. Holt and, thank you. They want to speak on Middle Lark Lane. I don't, now correct me if I'm wrong, you don't want to oppose the rezoning.
Yes, I would object to rezoning because there's nothing in it.
So you are.
Yeah.
Mr. Holt, come on up. We'll swear, the county clerk will swear you in and you can. Mr. Barger. Sure, yes, come on. Come on, Gerald. I'll call you Gerald.
That's fine.
I'm Fiscal, 238 on that line, my way.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Tracy, let's let Gerald see all this pass out.
I'm Tracy Ford. I live at the 20 property right below Mr. Valley, and I've been here for about 17 years. And I basically, I'm in opposition to the rezoning because I don't feel there's any protections in there for a road and to secure our neighborhoods that will deteriorate further. Okay, the items that were read off here, Board County, Wayne
zoning map amendment recommendation, the part that she read here, it said that I was not opposed to rezoning. My best recollection of that meeting and that hearing was, I don't have a problem with the business. I think Mr. Miles has a very respectable business. It's a very beautiful business. I think it's an important aspect of Warren County, and I'm not here to put a thumb on that at all. That's not what I'm concerned about. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. And the other thing was stated that I said it's a private road, and I believe I believed that at that time. I've done some research on it, and it is a public road, and that's what the plat is up here. This subdivision was created in 1976, and the roads were dedicated to public use right down here at the very bottom.
Is it a county road? Can you do that?
No.
Okay.
Yes, it's a county road. Jim? No. Okay, a public road and a county road are not necessarily.
I understand.
Okay, I just wondered if
So in 1976, that was dedicated as a public road, and I have not been able to find anything anywhere that says that road was not a county standard in 1976. Okay? Now, not only was our road created in 1976, Nightingale Way was also created in 1976 at the same time. And the county does take care of Nightingale Way that has overlooked that a lot of money. Okay, now, I don't think we're here to dispute on who's supposed to take that road or whatever. That's going to be resolved with the second issue. Okay, that's good, or maybe in the future or whatever. But my point is that this road is right back to, just put back normal and correctly. There's no mechanism in place that keeps that road protected from this business. And that's what my argument is. Okay? He says that he tries to keep the trucks off. I see trucks getting up in there and scooting across and putting potholes and tearing up the road. And that's what we see. The road is in really bad shape. Okay? And even if we fixed it, it would get tore up again. So there's really no way for us to keep that road maintained. It's not maintained by us. So there's nothing in the subdivision rules that says that each one of us have to repair that road. It's a public road, and basically the business is a public easement. And I feel that the county should, or the business should be configured in such a way that it doesn't tear up the road. And that's why I'm asking for you guys to vote no and revisit this and put the right protections in place so that the neighborhood is protected and the business is protected. He should configure his business to keep up with the traffic. And that's basically our point. I got some pictures of the road. If anyone has not been out there, I didn't get those in place in time for the planning committee to see it. There is a lot of evidence here of a lot of destruction on that road. And it's not just our car. So I'd like to add these.
Roland, would you have the impression that perhaps planning and zoning thought that road was rocky?
No, I'm sure they know that it's a paved road, it's not a county maintained road.
When Mr. Holt came into my office to discuss this issue, it's very interesting that Meadow Lark Lane, as he just now said, was not incorporated into the what?
In the county, it wasn't grandfathered in where the county takes care of the road.
But the other ones were.
But the other one was.
So I'd like to know why that wasn't, and I know you would too.
Right, and that's what the problem is. And even if the county did maintain that road, they are not permitted semi-trucks and all that stuff on that road. And that's where the business, if you look at the pictures, there's 3 access points on the Meadow Lark Lane, only 1 access point on 44. So there is significant business activity going on Meadow Lark Lane. And that's what's causing the destruction.
before the standards changed?
Judge, with all due respect, you don't know that. You would have to go back and look at the minutes if you want to find out why it was left out. If it's in the, when those roads were adopted by the county, it should be in the minutes if it was discussed.
Okay.
Okay?
And to finish my sentence, per what Mr. Holt was telling me and what Gerald was telling me, that it was. Thank you.
And I just wanted, the plat did show that those names, those two roads were named as auto volunteers. And I think I gave you a copy of that, it's stated right there. This is a picture of both the roads. This is Nightingale and this is Meadow Large. And they're both built the same standards back in '76. Now I understand the newer standards are a higher standard, and this road can't meet those standards because of the cemetery and because of the size of the cul-de-sac. There's no way to make it into the new department. There's just no way to do it. Okay, now, the very first house built on this road was right down here. And that's on your picture number 2, there's numbers on the back of them. This road was paved, we're pretty elderly, it's hard to point it out. But this road was paved from all we can tell, to standard in 1976, just like the other road.
Judge, I don't want to speak out of turn. I wrote on doing, I'm not sure the county had a road standard in 1976. Did we? No. So there wasn't nothing to base that on. That's kind of a new function that's happened.
Right.
And the roads that were in the county road system, and I don't want to speak out there, I know Dennis knows more about the community, but they were kind of brought in based on as the magistrates asked them to be brought in for whatever reason, okay? So that's where it lies why one was left out and why the other part. There wasn't a standard like you had there.
Right, but these roads were built by the same person. They were both hard surface roads. They were not gravel. This one was not a gravel road, it was a hard surface road built with a 50-foot radius in the cul-de-sac, just like the other one. The same width, the same.
But the county didn't assume control of them, and see that's the difference.
And we just feel that it should have been grandfathered. It has not been grandfathered. My other point is that it is a public road. And this is why we need to revisit the zoning change, because all this was not considered by the planning commission. They thought it was a private road. Okay, so when we rezone this, there has to be a protection there that protects this road. So, or else it'll just turn to gravel, because there's no way, there's no mechanism in place to maintain this road. It'll just turn to gravel. That's what's happening. Anyone can go visit it and you'll see that's exactly what's happening. That doesn't help Mr. Val's business. It doesn't help Fuller Marketing. It is a nice business, and I'm just saying there's another mechanism in place. And that this community and this road should be protected if you're going to rezone it. Okay? The other point I wanted to make is, according to the plat, the Val's property is nothing more than lot 24, residential lot of Audubon Terrace. And how it ever got configured other than that, I have no idea. But that's what the plat says, and that's what these restrictions say. So, why it wasn't residential all along, and how all this happened, I have no idea.
Can anybody in this room speak to that?
Well, what's the resolution? What is the resolution to the problem?
We don't have one yet.
I mean, does the county assume responsibility for the road or what?
There is, like I said, there is no mechanism in place. That's why this needs to be stopped right now and revisited, and then that the zoning change be redrafted with protections to protect this road, either with a barrier or what have you. Because even once it's sometime in the future, if this road does get repaired, it will not be protected. And that's why this zoning is so critical. The zoning change itself does not have to protect that road because the property adjoins it. It has 3 access points. And it's really a tough situation. That's the only way to do it. The zoning change is the only way to do it.
Anything else, Tracy?
I can't think of any right off. Hopefully they take up anything like this.
Gerald, But Gerald Greenville is here, Gerald has, thank you, and Tracy Holt are here in opposition, am I correct?
Yes.
I don't want to speak for you. And what's your name?
Ron Flora, I'm on the same street.
Do you want your name in the record? What's your name again?
Ron Flora, Flora.
Flora, Flora. Sure, yeah. You certainly may. Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. Will you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Gerald Tuckazeski, 235 Colorado Lane, Shepherdsville.
Go right ahead, Gerald.
Thanks. I'm in opposition to the zoning change from agricultural to business, not only because of what Tracy talked about with the road issue, but also from a property owner and a homeowner. Looking at my tax base and seeing the taxes going up on the property since 2006 as I was there. Okay, my concern now that we're going from residential and agricultural to business residential, where you can't even see the residential side of it. What is that going to do to my tax base and my property values? I guess my point is that, you know, if I were looking for a home now, there's nothing in place right now in any current law that will prohibit, okay, the vowels from selling and full business, okay? And hypothetically, let's just say that Thornton's comes in there and wants to put a nice convenience store and a gas station right there. Well, if they're zoned as business, they can do that. I understand what they're talking about, and it all sounds really, really good, okay? The sun's gonna take over and everything's gonna be happy go lucky, okay? That's all fine and good in theory. It's not a problem, it's not a guarantee. It could happen, somebody could come in and write that magic check, and there we have it. And you've got business mixed in with residential. And as a property owner and a homeowner, I don't like it. I'm opposing that. As far as operating under current standard, as agriculture, which I've seen here in Bullitt County, okay, and having a business on the agricultural, a farm, that's fine. Again, I'm not in opposition of the business. I think it's a fantastic business. Okay? But as listed as such as agricultural, you start rezoning things from property standards, from residential to business, all that gets me a little nervous. Having a vested interest in the community, having a vested interest as a property owner and taxpayer on Middle Lark Lane. And that still doesn't solve our problem when it comes to who's going to take care of the road. You got a business in there, you know. The vows have been there for 30 years. I'm getting educated to this, you know, and all I keep hearing is how great they are, and I'm asking the question, well, you know, truck traffic, we're talking about that. Well, I know that there's, and I know that deterioration may come from just a garbage truck once a week. I mean, because they said it for themselves, they're a growing, thriving business. There's traffic coming in. So the traffic's going around that circle. It's ate up over years. So I'm also asking the question, accountability. Accountability from the standard that in 1976, Audubon subdivision was established. It was there. That was a farm. And then it turned into this thriving, growing business. Okay? So my question is to whom is responsible and accountable for repairing the damage that was done? You know? I don't know what I would say if I was in Mr. Bowles' position, but certainly to generate all this and grow this business and then just kind of step aside and walk away and say, hey, thanks to the road, now I'm going to go ahead and open up Highway 44 and bring my traffic in up there now, and good luck to you. That's unacceptable. So I guess that's my position. It is twofold. I'm concerned from a property owner, a homeowner, taxpayer, okay? And I'm also concerned about protecting that roadway. From curb appeal, if I were coming down that road now looking for the beautiful home that I own, I would have to say I'm going to pass because of the curb appeal. and the property tax that has elevated since 2006 to current standards. It's unacceptable. What am I paying for? Small children can't ride bikes, can't walk, you're gonna twist your ankle. You know, it's just, it's not feasible, not feasible. I have to pass.